Good afternoon if you're on the East Coast, as Cheryl and I are, or good morning if you happen to be calling in from the West Coast. Wherever you are in the world, we are so thrilled that you decided to join us today for this conversation about the You Matter Marathon. And we're going to tell you more about the You Matter Marathon in a few minutes, but as we're beginning, I want to share a few technical considerations with you. First of all, we are recording today's event, so in case you want to share it with someone else or rewatch it or get more details after this event is over, you'll be able to access a recording. We also will be sharing with you today the slides from the event as a PDF, and you'll receive those along with the link to the recording in our follow-up email, which you'll receive later this afternoon. We would also invite you today, if you're interested, to join the conversation on social media channels to live tweet. You can use the hashtag YouMatterMarathon and Cheryl's Twitter handle, which you'll find at the bottom of each of our slides. And so we look forward to interacting with you on those social channels. I will not be tweeting live during today's event. Cheryl and I are going to have a great conversation. So Cheryl, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Becky. How are you?
I'm good. So we would love to get to know who you are, and if you could take a quick moment to find the question panel. Later in today's event, we will invite you to ask questions and answer questions. So if you want to let us know where you're calling in from, we would love to hear from you in the question panel. My friend Lee is saying hello to us, Cheryl. Lee, I don't know where you are geographically, though, so I can't call that out. Let's see. So we have Mike from Philly. We have a caller from Atlanta, Champaign, from Canada, from San Diego, Scottsdale, far northern California, Minneapolis. So we have Tucson, Arizona. It looks like we have people in all kinds of time zones this afternoon. So welcome to you who are coming. There's still a few more people coming in even as I'm talking. Looks like Virginia and Pennsylvania. So we've got lots of different states. For those of you who may not know, my office is in Lambertville, Michigan, and we have Cheryl this afternoon in the Philly area, right? And
Right.
then my team member who's silent and behind the scenes is actually calling in from Chicago today. So we have Colorado, Seattle, South Carolina, Boston, somebody waiting for a flight in Denver. Wow. Thank you so much to all of you for investing with us today.
Thank you.
In just one more moment, we're going to get started. But before we do so, I want to tell you a little bit about Cheryl. So for those of you who haven't met Cheryl, Cheryl is a speaker and an author and a coach. And about a year ago, she decided to pursue a really big dream that she had that we're going to be talking about here today called the You Matter Marathon. And I happened to connect with her just about a month before the You Matter Marathon began. And our team was so thrilled to be able to support some efforts around getting the word out about the You Matter Marathon. Now we're gearing up for 2017, and we are so thrilled to be continuing this amazing and difference-making opportunity. So this is a good time for us to find out from all of you who are on the call. We're wondering if you participated in last year's You Matter Marathon. I'm going to launch this poll, and a simple yes or no to our question: did you participate in last year's You Matter Marathon? We would love it if you would take a moment to click and let us know. And thank you so much in advance for sharing your reply. Everyone's voting so quickly. And I'll share those results in just a moment. Now, in case you are new to the You Matter Marathon, you might have noticed on our opening slide that there is no running required. But as a runner, I just love the idea of a marathon. It's something I can identify with so strongly. Looks like many of you have already voted, and so I'm going to close up that poll, and we're all going to be really interested to see those results. It looks like more than 3/4 of you did not participate in last year's You Matter Marathon. So it's so exciting that we have this opportunity to share the You Matter Marathon with a bunch of you who may not know the depth of the impact that this initiative has had. So what do you think about that, Cheryl? That's pretty cool, right?
It's awesome. I want to say hi to all the yummies out there who are on the call. Yummies is my nickname for the people who do participate in the You Matter Marathon. And welcome to all of you who are curious about it. I couldn't be more delighted to have so many of you join us for this time.
So Cheryl, we're going to have a great conversation today, and I'm excited to dig in. I was hoping that you could start by telling us about the You Matter Marathon and how it came about.
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Becky. So the You Matter Marathon came about, actually, it started in 2015 when a colleague gave me a card. It was a red card that had the letters "You Matter" on it, and that was it. And I was so touched by receiving this card. I felt like I had been hugged. And so I came home and I actually ordered some of my own cards, and I started giving them out. And at first, I gave them out to friends who would also kind of melt when I would give them to them, and family members. And then I got a little bit more kind of mischievous, and sometimes I would leave a You Matter card in an obscure and anonymous fashion. Like when I was filling up my tank with gas, I would put a You Matter card in the credit card holder, or in coat pockets. When I was at the hair salon in the coat room, I'd stick some You Matter cards in coat pockets, and I just took great delight imagining people discovering these cards on their own. And I thought that was kind of the extent of it, was my new little secret. Until one day, it was in November, and I was in the grocery store, and I was in line behind a woman at checkout. And it was clear she knew the cashier just a bit. And the cashier looked at her and said, "How are you doing?" She immediately looked down and she said, "You know, I'm not doing so good." She said, "My husband just lost his job, and my son is, quote, up to his old tricks again." She said, "I just don't know how I'm going to get through the holidays." And she took from her bag food stamps to pay. And in that moment, I felt so moved, and I didn't know what to do. Should I offer to pay for her groceries? Should I ask for her husband's resume? So in that moment, I didn't do anything, and the woman left. And I checked out, still kind of kicking myself, not sure what to do. When I got to the parking lot, it was she and I returning our carts at the same time. And I said, "You know what? I'm going to be brave." And I went up to her and I said, "Excuse me, I couldn't help but overhear you're going through a really hard time right now. I'm so sorry. I just want you to have this." And I gave her a You Matter card. And she started to cry. And she said, "You have no idea how much this means to me." And we hugged. And I went back to my car and I started to cry. And it was then that I really felt that there was so much power in this card and in these kind of interactions. And I didn't know how, but I thought, wow, I want more people to feel this. I want more people to have this experience of influence and impact and connection. So as luck would have it, I was finishing up a 6-month program in applied positive psychology sponsored by the Flourishing Center. And we needed a final project. And being a leadership coach and speaker, I thought I'll do a leadership seminar on positive psychology. In the meantime, I had given my classmates You Matter cards, and every one of them was really touched. So I started to rethink my final project and decided, frankly, to follow my heart instead of my head. And my heart was telling me that we need these cards and we need more people to experience the kind of power from this connection. And so my final project was the You Matter Marathon, where my intention was to invite other people to share You Matter cards during the month of November. In fact, my goal was to share 10,000 cards, and I'm going to raise this. This is the card, and I redesigned it from the original one that I received. It couldn't be more simple. It's a white card on good cardstock and black lettering, You Matter. Inevitably, when people receive a card, the first thing they do, and I'm sure the Yummies can attest to this, they turn it over. They look, what's the gimmick? What do I need to buy? What website are you promoting? And I say, there's no catch. It's a complete sentence. You matter. So that's how the You Matter Marathon came about, was through those experiences, very, very powerful experiences, and my desire to share it with other people. And so my goal was to invite people, as many people as I could, and with Becky's help, we were able to reach a lot of people to share one card a day during November of last year. That was the ask. So when you participated in this marathon, you were agreeing to share one You Matter card a day during the month of November. And to make that as easy as possible for people, I gave away these cards for free. I mailed these cards, and the lovely image you see there are actual cards that started in my dining room, which was renamed the Fulfillment Center, and packaged these cards with the help of some very talented You Matter elves, otherwise known as my friends' kids home from college, who helped me count 30 cards, put them in satchels, but I signed every one of those cards and we mailed them all over the world so that people would have an experience of first receiving a You Matter card. This was really important to me, and this will become very important towards the end of our webinar when we talk about our plans going forward. But it felt vital for me that people be given a card before I asked them to receive a card. So in that note card that you see in that photo, I asked people to give out 29 cards during November, but keep one for themselves. So again, these cards were free. No matter where you lived in this world, we sent you You Matter cards if you signed up.
Well, I think that if it's okay with you, Cheryl, I'm just going to brag on you for a moment. So last year's You Matter Marathon was completely a volunteer effort on your part, and you funded the entire thing. And having been a recipient of one of those packages with the purple bag of cards, I mean, it was a tremendously affirming moment to receive the note and the cards, and then to have the opportunity to share them with others. So that's just incredible and amazing, the amount of time and energy and personal finance that you poured into the project last year.
Thank you. Yes.
So I know we're going to take a look at some of the numbers, the impact of last year's You Matter Marathon. Can you talk about the impact?
Yes, and before we do that, I just want to share the purpose, if I haven't made it clear already. The purpose of why are we sharing these cards? So very succinctly, the purpose of the You Matter Marathon is to create and enrich positive connections between people and within communities. And I'll be able to share in a few moments how communities participated. So it was both individuals and communities that chose to participate. And I believe that now more than ever, we are living in an environment where people crave connection but feel more isolated than ever, where people want to find common points of ground and yet we're more divisive than ever. And so this interaction, this intervention, this card gives people permission to forge the kind of connection that I believe is essential if we are to live in a world that I think we all would want to live in, a better world where connections are meaningful and robust and where every human being feels like he or she matters, because they do. So the goal, my ambitious goal last year, and I struggled to imagine how on earth I was going to meet it, was to share 10,000 cards during November. So what happened? So this is the next slide. What happened by the numbers? Okay, for those of you who like to measure things numerically. We shared collectively almost 500,000 You Matter cards. And I am confident in that number because I know people continue to share cards after the marathon, and I know that many people who received cards shared the cards they were given, and we have no way of even adding that to this number. So this 431,000 is a conservative estimate of how many cards were shared as a result of the You Matter Marathon. We had 14,382 people participated from all over the world, all 50 states, 59 countries. Let me tell you a funny story, and Becky, I know you were part of this journey. I never imagined, first of all, this would go international, so thank any of you who are, I know we have Canadians listening. We were in every continent, I think, except Antarctica. It was amazing. But once we started getting participation from many states, it was like, wow, maybe we should go for all 50 states. That would be part of a great story. And we kept climbing, and we started using social media, and Becky was using her contacts to say, hey, anyone know anyone in Minnesota? How about South Dakota? What about Hawaii? And slowly we would get them. And we kind of we stalled at 49 states. We stalled. And the only state we hadn't found a participant in was Alaska. So
I remember.
It was Alaska. I've started Googling chambers of commerce and churches and schools. And literally, I would spend hours every day just calling and leaving voicemails. People must have thought I was insane until I got to a high school in Alaska. And I left a message for the principal. His name, you're going to love this. I hope it's okay to say, but I'm so proud of him. Sean Prince, right? Living up to his name. I left him a message telling him what we were up to, asking him if he had any character-based education that this would fall into as part of their curriculum, invited him to check out the website, told him I'd send him the cards for free. He signed up that day.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, it was amazing. It was. I still don't even think he can appreciate what a gift he gave us all from agreeing to participate, and I hope he will again. And then we had 260 ambassador organizations participated, and what that means is people could sign up as individuals and agree to give out one card a day during November, or people could sign up as part of an organization. So we had school systems. In fact, the Mount Lebanon School District, for example, in Pittsburgh, the whole school district participated. So that would be an example of an ambassador organization. We had the Church of Scotland participate. There's a whole list on the website of the ambassador organizations that gave us permission to list them. We had, I think, the 4-H Club, Llama Club, somewhere in the Northwest, Midwest. I hope I'm doing them justice. Amazing organizations. And so in those cases, since I did not send cards for everybody in their organization, we gave them a link. I sent the ambassador, the individual representative, 30 free cards, and then we sent them a link to either order their cards at a discount from Vistaprint or print their own cards if they didn't have the budget to order them. And believe me, the cards are actually one of the least costly parts of this campaign. So ambassador organizations, and we had some for-profit organizations. We had Lockheed Martin. So this is, it ran the gamut of organizations, for-profit, nonprofit, religious.
That's
So that's
amazing.
what happened by the number. Isn't that cool?
It really is. And you know, the thing that occurs to me is just even the power of packaging those cards up and mailing them around the world. I know the postage was a big part of the cost of that endeavor. So I know we want to share a little bit of the impact in words of what people had to say. And you asked me before if I would read some of these for our attendees. So a card, a conversation, a connection. Is it really this simple? With every interaction, I continue to be no less amazed that 2 words printed on a 2 by 3.5-inch card can have such a life-changing effect. I can't imagine going back to a time before You Matter cards. This month has been nothing short of magical for me, and I am truly a better person for having made every single connection. How powerful are those words from Judy in Pennsylvania? Having the You Matter cards has caused me to look at people differently. It is hard for me to approach strangers, so this is an opportunity for growth. I am really looking at people. I find myself smiling at them because I am really looking at them and because I'm trying to see if I want to offer a card. This is making me a much more connected human, even when I haven't handed out a single card. From
Mm,
Julie in New York.
beautiful.
We use the cards with teen suicide programs and some gang programs. It is a hoot to have rasty, nasty, bratty teens tell me sincerely that I matter because I help them feel like they matter. In 42 years of practice, You Matter Marathon has been the most important, significant thing I have done.
Mm.
Wow, from a program manager in California.
So this is some photos, and again, thanks to the yummies, those on this call and those not on this call, these photos are just the tip of the iceberg of the photos and letters we've received. Abundant. And so this is, it just really quickly on that one, thank you. This is English as a Second Language class, and who received these cards. Thank you, okay? And these are 2 friends, one giver, one recipient of a You Matter card. This was amazing. This was near the end of the marathon. This was a young woman I met during the busy holiday season, gave her a card, and she literally, like the tears, I mean, that was a genuine expression. She covered her mouth. There was a line behind me because literally it was like return season for the holidays. I was still giving them out in November. And I was so moved by the strength of her reaction. I went back to the store the next day and I asked her, you know, what was happening for her. And she said that she was going through such a hard time, and this card just, she felt seen in a way she hadn't seen. And she went home, because I never mentioned the You Matter Marathon. She Googled it. She said, this has to be part of something. And she found the You Matter Marathon, and she said that she wanted, I brought her back more cards, and she said she was going to give them, the first one to a coworker who helped her out at the end of the month when her situation got pretty dire at the end of every month. And I thought to myself, you never know what is happening in someone else's life. So she was spectacular. Okay, the next picture, please. These were school children. Look at those precious little hands. So we actually have a guide that I wrote for school districts and teachers of how to bring the You Matter magic into the schools and into curriculum. Again, keeping in mind this is November when a lot of parents and teachers are looking for activities to coincide with Thanksgiving and the holiday of gratitude. So this was a school. I just love those hands.
Mm-hmm.
And who can resist, right? This was a You Matter Marathon participant's puppy. And in fact, to be quite honest, just recently I got this letter that moved me so much from a woman who said she participated in the marathon last year, but she wrote to apologize because she said she's infirmed and she doesn't get out much. But she said she has a whole kind of menagerie of animals, and she was asking if she could give them to animals. And you can imagine my response. I mean, it was a absolutely. I mean, I know what my animals mean to me. I have a sleeping cat to my left, and I had to send my dog on a play date so she wouldn't steal the show today. So absolutely, it's my desire that once these cards are in your hands, I completely trust you to give these cards to people, to animals, to nature. It all matters, and you matter.
Thank you.
The last one, last photo, again, it was hard to edit these out. These are pharmacists in New Zealand, and a woman, one of the women in the photo, works with caregivers of people who are in their final stages of life, and she's worked with this pharmacy that they now include You Matter cards in with the medicines that these caregivers of people who are very sick, terminal, receive. So when they pick up the medicine for their spouse, they open the medicine and they get a card that tells them as the caregiver that they matter. In New
Wow.
Zealand. Yep.
It's so amazing to think how far-reaching this effort has been.
Yes, yes, the ripple effect. So what's my vision now? Where do we go from there? Well, my
Yeah.
vision is for every person in the world to give or receive a You Matter card at some point in their lives. And I would ask of all of you, all of us who are listening and participating today, is to really think about that, to think about what the impact in the world would be if every human being knew unequivocally that he or she mattered. And in my estimation, we wouldn't have self-harm. We wouldn't have people committing acts of violence just to kind of make a point, prove that they're significant. If everybody knew inside that they mattered, I believe we wouldn't have the vitriol and the hate and the acts of violence committed against self and others. If we just knew that we mattered and we were essential. So to me, it's the most important message we could be giving at the most important time.
That's really powerful, Cheryl. Thank you. So can you tell me a little bit about the plans for the You Matter Marathon in 2017? How will that contribute to this overall big picture vision that
Yes.
you've stated?
Yes. So you just saw what we did last year, 500,000 cards. So I'm like, let's go for it. If we did 500,000, let's go for the big 1 million cards during November. And again, this is a collective effort. I'm confident we can do it. My passion, my commitment is to keep the cards free for individuals. This feels so important to me because the integrity of this is that people have a You Matter experience first and foremost. And I also don't want there to be any barriers to entry. I don't want someone to feel, well, I'd love to participate, but it's not in my budget. Or I'd love to participate, but don't send me to another website to buy the cards. It's just too cumbersome. So no barriers to entry, and people are gifted with the cards. So that's my commitment. Keep the cards free. Now, to do that requires some more finagling because, to be quite honest, it is not in my budget this year. I spent over $26,000, and I'm not an extraordinarily wealthy person. I work for a living. I'm happy to do it, and I was happy to do it last year. It was one of the best experiences and best use of my income ever. No arguments. I just can't keep doing that, period. And to be
Sure.
quite honest, I think that there's merit in giving other people a chance to contribute to the marathon in different ways. So one of my goals is to secure corporate sponsorship. And one thing that's exciting is just within the last 2 or 3 weeks, I became affiliated with a not-for-profit. So I am now fiscally sponsored by an organization called the Urban Affairs Coalition, which means essentially that completely I can receive funds, or the You Matter Marathon, because it won't go to me, the You Matter Marathon can now receive funds that are tax deductible. And so that's another incentive to organizations who are looking to consider sponsoring a program like the You Matter Marathon.
Great. So can you share a few more details, Cheryl, of how folks who might be on today's call who might want to participate or support the You Matter Marathon in 2017, how they might be able to get involved?
Yes, there's plenty of ways, and they're all wonderful, legitimate. I encourage you to do any or all of these. The first is go to our website, youmattermarathon.com. It is plentiful. And thanks to Melody, who I believe is on this call, and she's my right-hand woman, and she's been a lot of the logistics and process, and a wonderful friend to me throughout this process. And so Melody has worked hard to get the You Matter Marathon website up to date, up to speed, so we can actually receive, people can sign up right now if you'd like to. We're not pushing the sign-ups, but you are welcome to sign up, and then you'll be part of our community, and you'll continue to get individual notices about what's happening with the You Matter Marathon. So you could sign up as an individual, and when you do that, you're agreeing to give out 1 card a day during November, and cards will be mailed, assuming we can do this, which I'm anticipating we will. Cards are mailed in mid-October. So I know if I started mailing cards now, nobody would have them by November. So we only mail the cards in October. You can also sign up as an ambassador organization. Again, if you're looking for more examples, you can see a list of ambassador organizations from last year on the website, or you can reach out to me. But this is any organization that's interested in sharing the You Matter magic and getting other people involved. And not everyone in the organization has to give out 30 cards. Some of the schools, they gave, depending on the age of the students, didn't give a person in kindergarten 30 cards, but they may have given them 1 or 2 to share. So ambassador organizations have been vital to our success. You can also, and I'm asking people actually to consider making a tax deductible personal donation. And we just set up a crowdfunding, that's the term, crowdfunding campaign on generosity.com, which is the group that raises money, helps raise money for nonprofits. And so there's a campaign that we're just launching this week. This is part of our launch. And even there's no donation too small, but we do have some mighty fine incentives for certain donation levels. So there's also that, which I would encourage people to check out. And then if you are part of or know an organization that would like to be a sponsor for the You Matter Marathon for as little as $1,000, which to some organizations is not a lot, we offer free cards equal to the number of dollars. So if an organization gives me $10,000, I will give them 10,000 free cards, plus the publicity, t-shirts, and I will even do a webinar, and in some cases an in-person seminar for organizations who are corporate sponsors. And that information is also, where is that information? That is at the generosity.com website, and you can also contact me if you're interested. That's probably the best thing.
Sure. So Cheryl, can you share a little bit about your goals for fundraising?
Thank you, Becky. Thank you. Thank you. I
Yes.
knew I was forgetting something. That's really important.
No.
So last year, as I said, I invested a little bit more than $26,000. So basically, we need to double that if we want to reach our goal. And we're confident that last year I was starting with 0 in terms of people involved, but now that I have a community of yummies, I don't think it's going to be hard to actually get to our goal. So to do that, we're looking to raise $56,000. And frankly, the way this works, because the labor happens during the summer, that means literally I just ordered 66,000 You Matter cards, which by the way is half of what we'll need if we reach our goal. But we need to have at least $30,000 by August 1 for me to know that I can go ahead and order more of the materials and get the cards packaged, etc., to start to be able to really promote this, which we promote it after Labor Day, is when we promote and invite people to sign up. But as you can imagine, it's like inviting people to a dinner. You don't know if you have the food. So I can't confidently be promoting people just to sign up until I know that I have the cards to offer them. Postage is my biggest expense by far, especially, and I'm happy to have anyone international. I want to replicate what we did, if not increase the countries involved, but that takes postage, and it's $13 to $19 per set of cards
to send those around the world.
Yeah, to send them around the world.
So just to recap or restate, so the fundraising goal is $56,000, and a deep hope is that much of that donation will come from corporate sponsors who will choose to align with this important and difference-making outreach. And obviously, there's plenty of opportunities for individuals who might want to donate as well.
Yes,
So I have lots of questions that have been coming in. So would it be okay if we take a few of those?
I'd love it.
So let me think. Um, you've answered some of them, but one person is asking if a family wanted to have each person give the 30 cards, does each member need to sign up individually, or how would you work this if a family wants to get involved?
It's a great question. So either one will work. I think here's the thing, you would count as an ambassador. So the simplest thing would be for the one family member to sign up, and then I would send that family member 30 free cards and tell you how to get enough cards for your entire family.
And Cheryl, you mentioned before that the cards are fairly inexpensive, either to print because you provide the files or to order from Vistaprint at a discount. Can you give some insight into what ordering the cards might actually cost? One individual was asking, even at $1 per card, this is so expensive, and it's nowhere near $1 per card. So if you could help clear up that confusion, that would be helpful.
Right. It's the cards are not the biggest expense at all. The cards, especially Vistaprint, because this is their business, has specials, and we usually tell people, oh, I didn't mention this. We have a private Facebook community for Yummies. So once you sign up for the marathon, you're invited to a Facebook group that's private to share You Matter experiences, which was I think, and maybe we'll hear from a Yummy, a really lovely way of being with other marathoners. People would support each other on the Facebook page and help coach each other. You can do it. You can give the card to a stranger today, etc. And of course, post these wonderful pictures and experiences. Back to the costs. So the cards, I'm challenged here. I think 1,000 cards, I'm not going to get it right. The cards are not a big expense, especially the more you buy them. I think it was $40 for like 1,000 cards. So for a school or an organization, again, the cards it's not a big investment. The biggest investment, so my budget, and I won't go into the details of it, I'm happy to offline, is really the people I use to help me support it, the professionals that I hire who help support the marathon, and postage.
So Cheryl, could you describe what you typically say to strangers when you hand them a card? And this is a question from Lisa, so thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Lisa. And that came up, and again, the Facebook discussion group was a wonderful way for people to talk about this and coach each other. So I don't have a script, and what I say is trust yourself. I really want people to trust themselves and see this as part of the experience. I think context matters, and one of the things we're going to be sending you as a follow-up is a video of people giving out You Matter cards. And you'll notice that there were some people I went up to, complete strangers in a park, and I gave a You Matter card to. And I have to say, it was a little, they were like, who are you? What are you selling? And then in another part of the video, you'll see actually my husband give a card to somebody at a coffee shop. And this is somebody at a coffee shop. She owns the coffee shop that he goes to every day at work. And he gave her a card, and she absolutely melts, which again, you'll see shortly. And so the context matters. So what I say is, I can't give you a script. Just like in that grocery store interaction, I just trusted my heart. Here's the thing that's so important. How people respond is not your responsibility. How people respond to receiving a card is not your responsibility, and it has more to do with them than you. I could do a whole nother webinar, and maybe one day we will after this year's, about the impact of this for the card givers. People told me this was a personal growth experience. Giving out one card a day changes people. Changes people.
Of
right?
course. Anytime we're focusing on others and we're being careful to attend to being grateful for others in our lives, of course, that has a huge impact for the giver.
Yeah, so there's no script. It depends on your relationship with that person. I would say the relationship matters. Is this a total stranger you're seeing at a car wash? Is this somebody who's been cleaning your teeth for 6 years and you've never had the ability to talk because your mouth is filled with dental equipment? Sometimes you don't have to say anything. You can just give them the card. Or again, leave the card even in a place where you know someone will get it, but you don't need to speak. The last thing I'll say is one woman actually wrote, and we blogged about this. She said that giving this card to a family member was harder than a stranger. And that happened, and that's part of the experience. Is for some people, giving these cards to strangers is easy. Giving them to loved ones is hard. And she took a risk and gave a card to her estranged adult son. And she said that this moved their relationship to a better place when she was able to bridge an unspeakable chasm between them. So trust yourself.
I remember reading about that. So I have a question from Catherine, and she's wondering, Cheryl, if you envision this expanding beyond, that the You Matter Marathon is an event that happens in November.
Great question. I'm actually meeting with an organization tomorrow that is considering in the health services providers, and they're considering, and they're challenging me in a good way to think about people running marathons on their own at different months. And so that's a great conversation I'm eager to have. So I think I could see that happening, where we have maybe a kit, for lack of a better term, where people can run a You Matter Marathon, and we make it possible for them to do that any month in their organization. Beyond the cards and giving out the cards, I don't know. I'm open, and I love to hear from you with ideas. Right now, this is my commitment to do this again and do it big.
I love that, and it's so fun. Our team was one of the ambassador organizations last year, so several of my team members at Weaving Influence, had cards and were giving them out throughout the month, and it was definitely powerful. And I think, back to the question about what do you say when you hand a card out, I guess for every card there could be a different approach, right, Cheryl? Like a different story.
Right.
If you're sharing with someone like your spouse or your kids, it's going to be a much different conversation than with a stranger.
Right. Right. The one thing I asked is that if people printed their own cards, I asked that they not put anything else on them, that the card not be used for promotion or any other message, even a lovely message. Now, some people I know did write on the back of the cards, and I respect that, but I don't want them printed. For the marathon, you do what you want in your life. There's a lot of You Matter cards out there. In fact, I want to give a shout out to Vicki Lewis O'Grady, who was the person who gave a You Matter card to the woman who gave it to me. Vicki's been doing amazing work through the You Matter Compassion Project. You can find them on Facebook. So she's the one who designed the original You Matter card that was red and has a heart. And she's doing amazing work in the Orlando area with a lot of other amazing people giving out You Matter cards. So I want to give a shout out to Vicki.
Sure. So one of our corporate attendees today is asking if there's a guide for corporations as well as the guide that you have for schools and teachers. Would the same guide be helpful?
Yeah, it's on my to-do list. Absolutely. Okay. And in fact, if the person who wrote that question, I'd love to, talk with you and maybe find out what would be helpful to include in that guide. Because, yeah, that's one of my intentions to include this year.
Got it. All right, and I might have some ideas for you, Cheryl, offline about, how to motivate and inspire a team and to use it really as a means of the team getting closer throughout participating together in the marathon.
Yes.
Our team had a private Slack channel just for the people who are participating in the You Matter Marathon so that we could check in and hold each other accountability and share stories, and that was great. And then also, as we joined the private Facebook group, that was another chance for us to engage with others.
Great.
So we do have time for a few more questions that I'm happy to share with Cheryl. If you have any, we're glad to take them now. And maybe while we're waiting to see, Cheryl, if there are any wrap-up questions, I loved the story about the estranged son. Are there any other stories like that you would just love to share with our attendees today?
Oh my gosh. I'm on the spot. Almost every day I get a new story, which is one of the reasons I wanted to do this again, because for me, this never stopped, and as Melody can attest, almost every day after November, people continue to sign up for the You Matter Marathon. I will say I've been moved by some of the stories recently, the woman who works with the gang members and what she's doing. So nothing else specific that I didn't have a chance to weave in, but believe me, there are reams of these stories, glorious stories on the Facebook page, and even there's a guest book for people who don't like Facebook we created a guest book on the You Matter Marathon homepage for people who just wanted to share their experiences but don't want to do it through Facebook. So the stories are aplenty.
And I invite everyone on the call. We will be sending out, as I mentioned earlier, some follow-up materials, including a link to this recording in case you want to rewatch it or share it with someone else. We'll be sending out, obviously, the slide deck that we've been using today. Also, all the links that we've been mentioning on this call will be included in that follow-up email. So I would invite you to join that private Facebook group so you can see more. And Catherine's actually asking if there's a link for people to access the cards via Vistaprint, and so perhaps that's something that we can put into the follow-up email as well as a link in case people want to get started with cards as part of a way of life leading up to the marathon.
Yes, I'm always happy to share that. Just know that unless you sign up for the marathon, which is free to do, and again, I send you 30 free cards in November, you won't be part of the marathon community, the event that happens in November. But of course, I'm happy to send people to Vistaprint. I
To
need
get
to
the
make them
cards.
a sponsor, yeah, because they're getting a lot of good business.
That would be amazing. If anybody on this call happens to be from Vistaprint or have a connection to Vistaprint, that seems like that would be a great connection to make for Cheryl. So Cheryl, I think we have your contact information and how people can learn more on the next slide. So
Yep, that's it. Yep, and I'm here, and this is my passion, and I know it's yours. And all I can say is I'm so touched that you would spend some time on a Monday to devote yourself to this topic, and it tells me that you really care about making a difference in the world. And I just want to say thank you to Becky and her team who made this happen and have been wonderful partners in this You Matter journey. And thank you, You Matter.
thank you, Cheryl. You matter.